All times on this agenda are approximate. Consideration of items may require more or less time than is scheduled. Items on the agenda may be taken out of order. The public body may combine two or more agenda items for consideration, and the public body may remove an item from the agenda or delay discussion relating to an item on the agenda at any time. Public comment is designated for discussion only. The public has the opportunity to address the commission on any matter not appearing on the agenda. However, no action may be taken on any matter raised until the matter itself has been specifically included on the agenda as an item upon which action may be taken. Additionally, public comment may be heard on any item listed on the agenda. Persons are invited to submit comments in writing and or attend and make comments on any agenda item at the Lander County Commissioners Board meeting. All public comment may be limited to 3 minutes per person at the discretion of the commission. Please note that the public body may interrupt the open meeting and exclude the public for the purpose of having an attorney-client discussion of potential and existing litigation, and this is pursuant to NRS 241015-3B2. I'll call this meeting to order. Lakin, will you lead some pledges this morning?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll have a moment of silence. Lander County Commissioners may break for lunch from 12 p.m. to 1:15 p.m. Any agenda item may be taken out of order, may be combined for consideration by the public body, and items may be pulled or removed from the agenda at any time. We'll go with Commissioners' reports on meetings, conferences, and seminars attended. Alicia, we'll start with you.
Oh, okay. So we had a hospital board meeting last night. The new air handler is being installed this week, and the old one, which is like 26 years old, is being decommissioned and removed in a few weeks. So it'll take a couple weeks to get that off the roof, and hopefully they can get the holes in the roof fixed. And they're hoping for some good weather. The interior walls of phase 3 are being completed still, and construction is to be completed by June 30th on schedule, they foresee. So there's been a few hiccups. They got a office they still got to fix, and then they've had a notice out on Facebook and on their webpage. The hallway by the physical therapy will be closed because they're still completing some construction there. And the old generator's being removed, and they did get the new call system in that will let them be able to communicate between the ER and the long-term care, because that was a big deal. They hadn't been able to do that for a long time. So, and then they're going to be participating in the statewide, that's a disaster drill. So that's basically what they're looking forward to. So, and they're also, they're going to have a golf tournament in May. So if anyone's interested in that, all the proceeds will go for the long-term care.
Excellent. Thank you. Is that everything?
That's it.
Okay, Lamont.
Good morning. I had the PLUAC meeting, the public lands meeting, and a couple items that came up was AB 109, which was going into legislation to increase the permitting requirements for geothermal and any other minerals that might come out of the ground via water. And we heard some unofficial discussion in that meeting about that bill. Just didn't go anywhere, so that's a little disheartening. But haven't seen the official report on it. But as far as an update on that, that's all I got. There's an item on today's agenda regarding we did have some good BLM representation during that meeting, which was nice to see. At least we're getting the ball rolling a little bit. It's nice to have some representation in those meetings. We will be talking about the Callahan complex today. I believe that's on our agenda. And I think they're trying to shoot for a herd management plan completed by July. I think the scoping will be done here within a month or so. We had board approval during that same meeting for RCI for our Lander County policy plan for federally administered land, so that'll be nice to see that going forward. The next meeting was the LEPC meeting went to, and we're just completing up the CERC and United We Stand grants. There's a little bit of back and forth, or usually is on those grants, but those are being completed. There is a Rural Preparedness Summit in May. I believe it's May 13th, 14th, and 15th. It'll be in Elko if anybody's interested in it. I think the first day is more of a disaster recovery for FEMA, and then the other 2 days are going to be for the rural preparedness. So if anybody's interested in that and want to go, it's free. It is first come, first serve. Space is limited. Meals will be provided, and this is put on by the Department of Human Services. I've heard a lot of good feedback on this, so if anybody's interested, I'd be happy to help you out there. And the last thing is the LEPSI group, along with some members of the BLM and the county, we went to a tour of the ORMAT facility in Biawawi. It was a great tour, had about 15 people. Michael Ribelotti took us on that tour, and it was nice. We had members of the public there. It looks like a very clean and safe plant, so that was nice to see, and that's all I got.
Okay, thank you, Lamont. Mike?
Nothing to report.
Okay, we'll move into staff reports on meetings, conferences, and seminars attended.
Commissioner Sparks, I do believe we have Commissioner Helming online.
Oh, hi Dee. Do you have a report you'd like to get us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Wait, I got you.
Okay, you can hear me?
I can hear you good.
Okay, all right, so I attended the NACO conference, or the NACO meeting, and the most important thing, two things, when we were talking about the wild horses, Pershing County already has a lawsuit going with the BLM over the wild horse situation, and they did say that if we wanted to join in with them, we could contact their DA and probably join in with them on the lawsuit, because they're having a lot of issues too. And then the other big thing is the Christmas tree ornament thing. Nevada was the state that was chosen for the Christmas tree ornaments for the tree in Washington, D.C. And they're asking each of the counties to supply so many, and a lot of the counties are going through the school to get it done that way, you know, having the kids do them. And we're also doing NACO is sponsoring a tree skirt with all 17 counties. So they'll be sending, probably already sent you the information on us doing our section of the tree skirt for around the bottom of the tree.
Nice.
So that's about it.
When did, do you know when Pershing filed their lawsuit? Was it just recent or?
Last year, I think they said they filed it last year. I didn't get a chance to talk to the commissioner much because he was online, but he said to just go ahead and contact their DA and anything that he would give us any information.
Okay, thank you, Dee. Okay, we'll move into staff reports on meetings, conferences, and seminars attended.
Good morning, Commission. I am in contact with Pershing County, and we're putting them in contact with our attorney as well, so we can get more information, and we'll be back to you with that. I just heard of that as well. On the 15th and 16th, for the community, I want you guys to know we're spraying for mosquitoes out here, larvicide on the river. Anybody that lives on the river has bees or anything like that, cover your dog's water, do that kind of thing, you know, rinse it back out. But it is just a larvicide. We'll be testing the flow rates and looking for black fly larvae as well. And if the river's not flowing too fast and if the larva numbers, you know, are there, we'll start treating for them as well. So we're trying to get ahead of the mosquitoes this year. The bad news is we don't have any rain. The good news is we don't have any rain for mosquitoes. So we don't have all them puddles on the sides that we got to try to treat on the outsides. We do have a drone spraying the BM. Going to try to kill all the weeds on that, and then we'll be back with paint to paint that and try to spice up the BM for us. So, and we do have our ask into the BLM to give us the M, so we can be whole. The community garden, I wanted to send a special thanks out to our high school kids that built them beds over there. If you guys get a chance, swing by the community garden and take a look at them beds that they built. They're beautiful, and I think that's gonna turn out really nice when we start filling them with soil. And we're getting some reports on crickets already. So we do have cricket bait, and anybody that sees or hears of them, give us a holler so we can try to get on top of them. They're just little guys right now, but little guys turn into big guys. So the more we can get now, the better. Everything else I have is on the agenda or going to be on a future agenda.
Okay, thank you, Bert. So we'll move into public comment for non-agenda items only. Is there any public comment? Yes, sir. Wayne, just to let you know, we have a public hearing at 9:10, so we'll have to keep it brief, and if we need to come back to you, we can.
Right, this is Wayne Nebeker for the record, and I put out a flyer here, I give all the commissioners, and I put some out there on the rental prices for the tractor and implements at the Lander County Conservation District, and there's a phone number there for people to get a hold of, and we're prepared to get going with it.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you, Wayne. All right, so we have a public hearing scheduled for 9:10. So We're gonna open 1.2 for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the proposed ordinance number 2025-03. It's an ordinance replacing Lander County Code Title 12, Chapter 12.08 by repeal and amendment to clarify the prohibition against obstructing streets, provide for removal of abandoned or disabled vehicles, provide punishment for violation, and other matters related thereto.
Commissioner, before we open that item, can we approve the agenda notice?
Oh, sorry, yeah. So we're gonna hop to the consent agenda real quick, and if I can have, you wanna just run through that whole thing, Bert, or just?
I think the only one that, to get us started would be that one, but if you'd like to run through, it's up to you.
Yeah, so consent agenda, all matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and may be acted upon by the Board of County Commissioners with one action without extensive discussion. Any member of the board or any citizen may request that an item be taken from the consent agenda, discussed, acted upon separately during this meeting. Consent agenda materials are available at the Lander County Clerk's Office for viewing, and copies are available for a nominal charge. So if I can have a motion to approve number 1.
Motion to approve consent agenda item April 10th, 2025 agenda notice.
Okay, motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll jump back to our public hearing. So it is now open.
Okay. Bill Schaefer for the record, district attorney, and Bill was rather quick. From the sheriff's office, the undersheriff. We've been working on this. The proposal in front of you, and that should be online, is in line with what the actual motion was. I went through the video like 2-3 times and added things in accord with the motion. Having said that, not everything that was discussed was in the motion, and we've come to agreement on some additional things that fix some problems. So let me just run through them really quick. First off, has everybody had a chance to look at the ordinance that wants to? Okay. What I've done, the most substantial thing that I would suggest is adding one more section, 12, and I'll read it, 12.08.060, and that's entitled Insufficiency of Attempts to Evade Compliance. It reads as follows: it shall be deemed insufficient to comply with this ordinance when a vehicle or trailer is moved less than 100 feet and or if its registration has expired and is not renewed within 72 hours.
Bill, so you'd be adding, that'd be 12 point, we don't have reference to that because it's not on here, right?
Correct.
Okay, could you read that one more time for me?
Sure. 12.08.060, insufficiency of attempts to evade compliance. And the text goes as follows: it shall be deemed insufficient to comply with this ordinance when a vehicle or trailer is moved less than 100 feet and or if its registration has expired and is not renewed within 72 hours. I would add that it goes without saying that if your vehicle is of the type that doesn't need registration, that doesn't apply. It just applies to the vehicles that do need it.
Okay.
And then Robert brought up that even after I did all of that, I did not have sufficient definition on the vehicles that are eligible for towing. So if you will go to 12.08.040, and it's on the signature, the beginning of the signature pages. I believe on the ones that you had, 3 lines down on the page, this would be the 3rd page. We want to add, let me just read part of it to get the context. I'm going to start at the bottom of the other page. Whether or not an offender is arrested, cited, or prosecuted for such a violation upon 72 hours' notice placed on the windshield under the driver's side wiper or other conspicuous place where said notice may be reasonably secured, any suspected abandoned vehicle, and then what we need to add is, or other vehicle or trailer parked in violation of this ordinance, in parentheses, chapter 12.08, end parentheses, may be towed at the owner's expense if the vehicle is not moved voluntarily. So we want to add that language. The language added is or other vehicle, because the way it was written, it only seemed to apply to the abandoned vehicles, meaning an unregistered car or truck or some such thing, but not trailers or motorhomes. And Robert did want the ability, and clearly, to tow, because the major way this will probably get enforced is by the little tags saying it's going to get towed if you don't do something, and then actually towing it when they don't do something.
Okay. Are those the changes?
That's all, unless, Robert did have one other thing. I had 3 days in places, and other places 72 hours. If you wish, we can make it, I can go back through it, and every place where it says 3 days, I can have 72 hours. I don't know that it makes any real difference. There were still typos in what you got, and I would also like some of those typos to be in. For example, I didn't notice it because it was not in language that we were changing. But at some point, it dawned on me that we had a phrase repeated twice in 1208-010. And so I told Jeannie to take that out. Little things like that still need a little bit of cleanup.
Okay.
So the question is, with that, I mean, I can go through, read it into the record, and I guess you could pass it as I read it in after we've had a chance to have the public comment on it, and make any changes that they might suggest that you like. Or we can set it for just plain old agenda. You've had your hearing, so you're okay. Just send it, for potential passage at the next commissioners meeting.
Oh, gotcha. So we're having the public hearing, so it could be agendized just for passage at that time.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So just to make sure I'm clear, so Robert, you wanted where it says 72 hours or 3 days, you wanted to make sure it was additional, that you put in there 72 hours or 3 days?
Robert Quick for the Sheriff's Office. Commissioner, that's solely for the purpose of consistency, where one section has 3 days, one has 72 hours, just so we're consistent throughout.
That makes sense. All right. Does the commission have any questions or thoughts on the proposed ordinance?
So is 72 hours preferred or 3 days across the board? To me, 72 hours makes more sense, but.
Probably do 72 hours and then allow officer discretion. My guess is they're not going to do anything before 4 days, just to be on the safe side.
Okay.
Is that good with you, Robert? If we just,
Robert Quick for the Sheriff's Office, correct.
okay. So is that what you're proposing, just make it 72
I
hours
think,
and leave out the 3 days?
my opinion, 72 hours makes more sense, because 3 days, there could be another 24 hours in another day, and 72 hours makes more sense, because the time that you write that sticker, it goes on, it's 72 hours from that time. So my thought on it should be 72 hours, but, if somebody sees different, then.
We'll make it 72.
You guys good with that?
I'm good with that.
Mike? Okay, all righty. Is there any other discussion from the commission? Okay, I'll open it up for public. If you have any questions, you'd like to address the commission on the ordinance, please step forward, state your name for the record. Okay, there's none? All right, so is that how you guys want to do it? So we've noticed some changes, and just have them make those changes and bring it back next meeting for passage? Would that be fine with everybody?
Yep.
Okay,
Works for me.
so can I have a motion to basically state that?
Make a motion that we approve the proposed ordinance, number 2025-03, an ordinance replacing Lander County Code Title 12, Chapter 12.08 by repeal and amendment to clarify the prohibition against obstructing streets, provide for removal of abandoned or disabled vehicles, provide punishment for violation and other matters related thereto, with the added verbiage of other vehicle and other changes discussed in the public hearing, and also including the 72 hours instead of 3 days.
Okay, thank you for your motion. Before I ask for a second, do we even need to motion on this, Bill, or would it be just direction?
Well, the problem, that's what I was trying to get a clarification on, and it should probably just be direction for us to come back. Don't really need a motion, I don't
Because we'll
think,
approve it next meeting.
and approve it at next meeting. You could approve it
Okay.
right now, the way he said, but
Robert, are there any, are your thoughts, are you wanting to get, are you under any time constraints on this, or?
Robert Quick for the Sheriff's Office. We would actually prefer to see it in writing, to make sure it's clear, so we don't have to go back and redo it from the start. So if we could bring it back at the next meeting and have clarity with that, that'd be great.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So we'll just strike that motion.
Okay, yeah, strike the motion.
And then, so then you guys are.
so directed,
So
right?
directed, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, do we need to go back to the consent agenda, Bill, and finish reading in the lines that I didn't read in? So we're gonna open back up the consent agenda. We had, item 2, which is approval of March 13th, 2025 meeting minutes. 3, approval of March 26th, 2025 budget workshop meeting minutes. 4, approval of March 27th, 2025 meeting minutes, and 5, approval of payroll rate change requests. I don't think we received any of those minutes, did you guys?
No, I
We
didn't.
didn't have any, did we? Okay, so there's no motion to be had on that, but we needed to read it into the record, so. All right, so now we'll move into 1.1 for discussion and possible action to disapprove payment of bills. We need to pull check number 227556 and 227530. Are there any other checks that need to be pulled? Okay, I'll hear a motion on the remainder of the bills.
Motion to approve the bills as presented.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve check 227530.
I'll second it.
Motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain, it's for my employer.
Okay,
A motion we approve check 227556.
I'll second.
okay, a motion and second. All in favor say aye.
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 Okay, and I abstain, it's made to my client. Okay, we'll go to 1.3 for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the comment letter for scoping phase of the Callahan Complex Environmental Assessment and authorizing the chair to sign. So, anybody have any questions?
We do have our natural resource officer, Ms. Pam Harrington, online to speak to this.
Okay, good morning, Pam.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you loud and clear.
Fantastic. For the record, Pam Harrington, Lander County Natural Resource Officer, and thank you for this opportunity to speak with you over virtually. I'm in Eureka right now for a sage grouse workshop, which is pretty important for us too. So the letter before you is a response, if the commissioners so choose, to submit it for the scoping period for the Callahan Herd Management Area Plan and the environmental assessment. It's just the scoping part. We're gonna get some draft documents to look at, but the scoping part of NEPA is important because it allows us a chance to help form those documents. And the Wild Horse and Burro program is a little bit out of date on how they do things. You know, with mining and some of the other actions, say transmission lines, the BLM goes through a big, long process with cooperating agencies so that we can have more of a say, or at least I should say a voice in it. And the Wild Horse and Burro program just hasn't gotten there. So this is the first we are to the table, like everyone else, with the scoping document. So I put together this letter, and I thought it outlined probably some really good things to add to those documents, and they're summarized at first with bullets, so it's kind of easier to see. And we can go into however much detail you guys want on this. It's kind of like our wish list with what we'd like to see, and this is the time to do it. I mean, basically ask for low AML, that's appropriate management levels, the low numbers for gathers, because last time we had a gather was 2011, and horses double every 4 years. And then we just asked to make sure they include the full crop. I mean, I just learned last year in Nevada, just in May, in the holding pens, 2,500 foals were born in holding after they've been gathered. So it's important to look at those foal crops because they really do breed quick. And you can take a look through, I won't read it all for you unless you, maybe I'll wait and see what questions you might have. But we just asked for low AML numbers to gather and then to actually analyze how the range improves at that point, and then we could look and see if the AMLs are adequate. I thought it was good for us to ask, there's a lot of work that goes into these documents, and if we could use it for on-the-ground work, they could add in their appendices categorical exclusions and other tools that we could use right now, right away, instead of going through NEPA again to improve springs, to protect areas. So I just asked for that from us, if that's good with you. And then a collaborative approach into the future so that permittees and the county and NDOW and BLM should be working together to prioritize rangeland improvements. So that's it in a nutshell. If that's good with you, I'll just stand for questions.
Okay, thank you, Pam. Does the commission have any questions for Pam or on the letter itself? No? Does the public have any comments on this item? Yes.
Amy Nelson. As I say at almost all PLUAC meetings, and I'll say it at this meeting, the Wild Horse and Burro Act has been out of compliance for decades. And the gross negligence of the federal government has impacted this county specifically, environmentally, habitat, economically, even recreationally. And just in the math that I've done in my own mind over the last 2 or 3 years, it's in the millions of dollars, the impacts that have happened in Lander County alone. And so I just wanted on record that I believe that the gross negligence needs to be addressed. That's it.
Okay, thank you for your comment, Amy. Is there any other public comment on the item? Okay, I'll move to the motion. Oh, yes, sorry, Wayne, go ahead.
Wayne Nebaker for the record. On the Public Lands Board, I've been on the Public Lands Board since 2022, and we've been dealing with this since 2022. And I really had a good feeling from the BLM on Monday night that maybe we are finally starting to see this come to fruition. And we all need to support everything that Pam Harrington has done because it has been a wonderful deal, and I'm getting feedback from different sources that there's going to be some good things happen if we keep the hammer down.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. Is there any other public comment on the item? Okay, I'll hear a motion on it.
Before I make a motion, I'd just like to say that there's finally, it looks like we're starting to see a lot more interest than we've had in the last 10 years. It's in the PLUAC board, everybody on that just seems to be doing a great job. But every action that we can take, big or small, is progress. You know, we don't mind slow progress. We just don't like stop. You know, stop is where, you know, it's months before we pick back up again. So whether that involves the scoping of the Callahan facility or, you know, a path towards low AML, progress is progress. And we need to just keep going by week to week, month to month. So one thing, until we reach low AML, the seeding effectiveness is drastically reduced because we can't seed things until we get these horses out of the way. You know, it don't matter how much seed we put down, we're not going to gain any progress. So, that's one thing is we do have money that's, not being used effectively because we can't properly seed until we get rid of these horses. Even when we're at low AML, that's when we start to become effectiveness at our seeding. And, just getting to low AML is not the goal, it's maintaining low AML. So we're not just gonna get there, we're gonna maintain. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve the comment letter for scoping phase of the Callahan Complex environmental assessment and authorizing the chair to sign.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, we'll open 1.4 for review, consideration, and possible action to approve, disapprove an extension request for the Business Improvement Program project for Muddies, 268 LLC DB8, the covered wagon located at 670 South Broad Street. Morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Shelby Knott for the record. So we discussed this a little bit at the last meeting. Their deadline to complete this project was April 1st. They are doing some boundary line adjustments and parcel maps with this property. So she's just asking for some extra time to get that completed, to then put the fence where it's on the correct property.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on that?
Shelby, did she give you a time where she's looking at, I know we're waiting on some surveying, but did she give you a rough estimate?
I asked for one and I never heard back a response. So their parcel map is going to be on the Planning Commission next Wednesday. It will then come to the county commissioners for approval. They then have to get signatures on the map and then get it recorded. So I would think 2-3 months would be plenty of time,
So you think
just
like
in my opinion.
90-day extension would work?
I think so.
And so when these projects are approved by the commission, starting that day, is it 90 days for completion to get these projects done? Because I see some of them haven't even been started.
Yeah, so the way that it's written in the guidelines right now is they have 9 months from the day that they sign their participation agreement or get their building permit issued.
Okay, great.
All right, any other questions on this item? Okay, I'll hear a motion.
A motion to approve the extension request. You want me to put in the 90 days?
90 sounds good. 90 days.
Yep.
Not to exceed 90 days for the Business Improvement Program project for Muddies 268 LLC DBA, the covered wagon located at 670 South Broad Street.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
1.5, for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the engineering services proposal from Day Engineering for Ethel and Pleasant Hill water mains and paving project in an amount not to exceed $411,000. Good morning, Marty.
Good morning, Commission. So I put this on, this is a future project. We want to start the engineering now, so when budget does become available, we can execute it and not be waiting around for our engineering. So we're going to take this out of the engineering funds that we've set aside. We have $250,000 set aside for engineering fees, and we'll use it out of there. So it's this year's budget, but then the project will come out of the following year's budget.
Okay, thank you, Bert. Does the commission have any questions on this item? Does the public have any comment on this item? Okay, I'll hear a motion.
A motion to approve the engineering services proposal from Day Engineering and for Ethel and Pleasant Hill water mains and paving project in an amount not to exceed $411,000.
Okay, it's been motioned.
I'll second.
And second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll open 1.6 for discussion.
Commissioner, can we stay back on that item real quick?
Yes.
Commissioner Price, I think just, you
Well, I
have
looked at
property
that,
that
but it was
borders, I
on-
think, along one of them roads.
I do on Ethel.
Yes, I
I
apologize for
think
not
though
bringing
that
this up
it's,
ahead of time.
the actual address is 22nd, I think, but yeah, I probably
Okay,
should.
so
Yeah.
we're gonna open that back up. And,
Thank you, Bert.
Sorry.
No,
we
it's
had a
okay, I
motion.
didn't even think about that because it's
And who
22nd.
seconded it?
I second.
Okay,
Oh, I think Alicia is
I didn't,
second.
so I'll abstain.
okay, so do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain because I have property on the corner of Ethel and 22nd.
Okay, thanks for catching that, Bert.
Yeah, sorry about that. I
Oh,
should have
no,
been
thank
on
you. I
that.
didn't think about it because it was on 22nd, so I thought, thank you.
All right, so now we'll go to 1.6 for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the FAA AIP grant application for the Rehabilitate Runway 1-19 and N Connector Taxiways and realign and rehabilitate taxiway B, design only, at the Austin Airport, and authorize the county manager to sign. The FAA funding amount for the project will be $231,397, and the Lander County match is $12,179.
Good morning, Commission. David Meyer, JEB Engineers for the record. So I was here in December when we approved some preliminary grant applications, just to give you a visual of this project. Here's the lovely Austin Airport. We have a runway. We have our two end connector taxiways, and this is taxiway Bravo. Goes from the apron to the runway. It currently enters at a non-standard angle. It's about 135 degrees. It's a big FAA no-no. They want access to the runway to be at 90 degrees so you can see both ends of the runway clearly. No line of sight issues. So when I came to you, we also have a small section of taxiway Bravo here. This would just be a little island of crummy pavement if we didn't rip it out and replace it, because next to it is the apron expansion from 2012, and to the, I guess, nominal south is the apron project that we just finished. So FAA is in agreement. Let's get that cleaned up and make the whole thing look beautiful. So when I was here in December, our total cost was a little lower. It was about $200,000 total for the design. Once we started pulling together costs for survey and geotech in particular, we realized it wasn't going to quite be enough for the scope. The nice offset for that is that FAA grants this year and next year will be at 95% funding instead of 93.75. That came as part of the FAA reauthorization last year. So although the total price went up from what I presented in December, the local match actually went down. So those prices in December, just for the record, were $187,500 from the FAA and $12,500 from the county. So the costs before you today are actual final numbers. That's based upon the record of negotiation for our fees. We went through an independent fee estimate and also the cost of that independent fee estimate. So I worked with Lakin. This is budgeted. So we're just looking for approval for those final amounts and to sign those grants again.
Okay, thank you, David. Does the commission have any questions on the item? Does the public have any comments on the item? Okay, I'll hear a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the FAA AIP grant application for the rehabilitating runway 1-19 and in connector taxiways and realign and rehabilitate taxiway B, design only, at the Austin Airport, and authorize the county manager to sign. Not to exceed an amount of $12,179 for the county, and the FAA funding amount for the project will be $231,397. 231 million. No, gosh, I can't. It's been a day. Let me tell you, $231,397.
Yes, that's correct. Sorry. Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We'll go to 1.7 for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the FAA IIJA grant application for the construct hangar design only at the Battle Mountain Airport and authorize the county manager to sign. The FAA funding amount for the project will be $109,772, and Lander County's portion would be $5,778.
All right, David Meyer, JUB again for the record. So this is a project we've talked about a bunch. We've got a new hangar going in there. The plan is for that to be an 80 by 80 hangar, so it can be sized for corporate jets, ideally for daily rental use or short-term use, to keep it available for corporate aviation and help provide a stimulus for the county as they look to go into the future. So same thing, we were here in December for the pre-application. At that time, the amounts were $110,000 in FAA funds and $7,334 for the county match. Both numbers came down a little bit. The $110,000 is what we had available from the first year of IIJA, the artist formerly known as BIL. So we just wanted to bring this before the board since we do need new signatures. So I'm here for any questions.
Okay, thank you, David. Anybody have any questions, Commission?
Dave, this project, is it still kind of on schedule to be completed mid-next year?
Yes, so the plan is still to begin mid-next year. So we will
Okay.
be pursuing construction through a 2026 IIJA grant, which will collect the remaining 4 years of that money.
Okay, yeah, when I was reading through it, it said something different, so.
Yeah, so we will bid it in spring of next year, and then we'll sit and wait for the grants, and then we'll sit and wait for the bid package or the building package. So I would anticipate us breaking ground with the building itself. I mean, probably spring of 27, just depending on what weather does. If we have a dry winter, maybe we can get in a little earlier.
Okay,
So-
thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the Commission? Does the public have any comment on the item? Okay, I'll hear a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the FAA IIJA grant application for the construction hangar design only at the Battle Mountain Airport and authorize the county manager to sign. The FAA funding amount for the project will be $109,772, and the Lander County match is $5,778.
Okay, we have a motion, second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll open 1.8 for discussion of possible action regarding ongoing projects and efforts at the Austin Airport, TMT, and Battle Mountain Airport, BAM.
Perfect. David Meyer, JUB, for the record. I've provided some notes. I'll just hit highlights. I won't read the whole thing. We just wrapped up our rehab apron and taxiway Bravo project at Austin. The project went great. That was Qualcomm Contractors again, and they always do fantastic work. It looks really good out there. We just received the closeout letters from the FAA, so we are pursuing reimbursement of the local match for those 2 grants. That was a dual grant project. That total amount to be requested will be $43,285.25, and NDOT is working on those agreements now. Once we have those, I'll work with Lakin and Bert, and we'll get that money back. So the next project at Austin is the special approach. This has been something we've been working on for quite a while, and if Commissioner Helming's still on the phone, she'll know that's an understatement. We are moving forward with this project. The purpose of this project was to provide a special approach during inclement weather to emergency services, so nobody's stuck on the airport trying to get a medevac out while there's clouds in the sky. So we started this process in 2016, coming up on the 10-year anniversary. But we're full steam ahead. The approach has been designed. We actually had a meeting with Fallon Approach and Salt Lake Center. So Salt Lake Center will be managing this approach. And Salt Lake Center said this approach is happening. They'll work with Fallon Approach the best they can because it will impact those military operations areas. But this is a humanitarian approach. This takes precedent over everything. So Salt Lake Center's on board. That meeting that we had, which was back in September of 2024, could not have gone better. So I do want to shout out Keith Gordon. He's former airspace expert. He has a little place in his heart for Austin. They do the Pony Express ride and base out of the Austin airport every year. And he helped bring this thing together. I was throwing myself against the wall and he found another way in. So I just can't thank him enough. There is some information that became outdated the day after I provided this to Carly. This approach was set for publication on April 17th. That got pushed to June 12th. There doesn't seem to be any reason for the delay other than just workload management for the FAA. There were no additional notes or anything at the delay of the publication. So we also, yesterday received outreach from Guardian Flight. They'd like to get the process going to get access to that special approach, being a medevac provider. Because Lander County paid for that approach, they're the proprietary owner of it. The FAA ultimately will provide approval on who can and can't access that approach. but they would like at least tacit acknowledgement from the county as the owner that the approach is, that this is a user of the approach the county's in line with. So we're working with Bert and trying to get together a letter to that extent that essentially takes no exception to their use without bringing on any liability from their use. So moving forward on that, any questions on Austin?
Any questions from the commission? Public have any comments or questions on it? Okay.
Okay, I do have one more piece of information, and Commissioner Helming has to promise not to ruin this surprise until Monday when I'm in front of the board. But we met with the FAA regarding the Austin runway project. We sat through our ACIP meeting back in March, and they said, oh, that's a big project. How are we going to fund that? And I said, I don't know why you're asking me that question. That's your question. This is a runway project. This is an eligible runway project at an important community airport. So I guess you better go to your bosses and ask that question. And they did, and they came back and they said, we have $2.5 million of state apportionment. Let's get these problems fixed. So I imagine every holiday as a child wrapped into one. That's what that phone call was. So we're excited to share that with the board. They'll be very excited. And I thought specifically of Commissioner Chop asking why we did the apron ahead of the runway. So I'm glad it worked out because this is how I had hoped it would go. So, all right, Battle Mountain. So we wrapped up the Pappies and Reels project out there. Again, I'm sorry for how jargon heavy the FAA is. The Pappies are the lights on the side of the runway that help you glide on the proper slope in. The Reels are the flashing lights at the end that help a pilot identify the actual runway versus other adjacent lighting. It's especially helpful on the north side, northeast, because you have to fly over the interstate to get to it. So we also replaced the airfield beacon and tower. All of those lights are LED now, which means they have a longer warranty. They take less power. They take less maintenance. So those should be good to go. I drove around the airport about 8 times after we installed that to see how many people we would make mad because the lights are a little brighter. And so far we haven't heard anything. So my number is available if anyone wants to yell at me. That's what I'm here for. So that project went well. That was Mesquite Electric. They've been awesome to work with. We did complete a flight inspection with the FAA. That all went well. They did fly the existing runway edge lights, which I would rather they hadn't done because those lights are 25 years old. We got into a discussion about those lights that ultimately resulted in the FAA saying, we shouldn't have commissioned those. They were already commissioned. We'll make it an interval inspection and no harm, no foul. So we do have a few lights to fix. We're moving forward with that. We just want to keep the runway in tip-top shape. But otherwise, that project, we need to do what's called an AGIS as-built survey, so airport GIS, because these lights are safety critical. So we are underway with that now. In fact, we've been bothering administration with a little survey that we need to do while I'm here. But they did their initial site visit last week. Once we get FAA approval on our scope, we'll get that done. We'll get the project closed out, and we'll get going with NDOT on getting our local match back. So all clear on that. And I think that's all I have for Battle Mountain.
Okay, thank you, David. Does the commission have any questions?
I drove by the airport one night and the lighting is very well.
You can definitely see it, that's
Yes,
for sure.
You definitely can.
All right, does the public have any comments on this item before we?
I would just like to thank David and JUB. As you guys can see, all the grant funds that they've acquired for us and the improvements that we see on our airport. I know that we don't have a lot of aviation people in the community, so it doesn't yield real well to use our taxpayer funds for that. But when these guys are getting grant funds to do that, it sure is appreciated. So thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you, David.
Yeah.
All right, I will, this is.
I think it's just an
discussion.
update only.
Yeah, no action, yeah, discussion. So thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you.
And also, yeah, I mean, everyone in this county that I get to work with is a pleasure. I know you don't want me to list every name I can think of because it would take me until lunch, but you have some wonderful staff here, so we appreciate the staff and the commission.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll open 1.9 for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the Nevada Division of Water Resources fiscal year 2025-2026 groundwater basin budgets and adjustments for the following basins. A, Antelope Valley Groundwater Basin in the amount of $15,328.32. B, Big Smoky Valley Northern Part Groundwater Basin in the amount of $467.56. C, Boulder Flat Groundwater Basin in the amount of $772.66. D, Buffalo Valley Groundwater Basin in the amount of $2,896.88. E, Carrico Lake Valley Groundwater Basin in the amount of $2,540.06. F, Clover's Area Groundwater Basin in an amount of $9,053.96. G, Crescent Valley Groundwater Basin in an amount of $30,542.91. H, Kobe Valley Groundwater Basin in the amount of $257.15. I, Lower Reese River Valley Groundwater Basin in an amount of $18,855.12. J, Middle Reese River Valley Groundwater Basin in an amount of $20,080.86. K, Upper Reese River Valley Groundwater Basin in an amount of $9,440.52. L, Whirlwind Valley Groundwater Basin in an amount of $11,994.16. M, Humboldt River Groundwater Basin in an amount of $33,025.35. And N, Kingston Creek Groundwater Basin in an amount of $3,593.75. Okay. Does the commission have any questions on this item? Okay, does the public have any comment on this item? Okay, I'll hear a motion.
A motion to approve item 1.9 as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll move to 1.10. For discussion of possible action to approve, disapprove resolution number 2025-04, a resolution of the Lander County Board of Commissioners to accept a transfer of land for public purposes and to waive the fees therefore. The county treasurer has these fees on the delinquent tax rules for the following 4 lots. Waiving these fees will provide open space parkland for the residents of Southern Lander County and visitors. Number 1, we have parcel number 003-02-25, which is 110 Victorian Drive, Lot 17, Block J, Kingston Town Subdivision, Unit Number 3. We have 2, which is parcel number 003-231-05, number 8, Jediah Trail, Lot 28, Block P, Kingston Town, Unit Number 5. 3, we have parcel number 003-231-06, 3 Jediah Trail, Lot 27, Block P, Kingston Town, Unit Number 5, and we have 4, parcel number 003-231-12, 9 Jediah Trail, Lot 24, Block P, Kingston Town, Unit 5. All right, so does the commission have any questions on this?
No, it sounds like these were, Bert, if I'm wrong here, these were left off our current tax auction coming on the 28th because they're not really suitable to build on. They sound like they're a lot to maintain them. Not a lot of taxes have been collected on them, so we're gonna use these for, parking or for the residents or anybody who wants to go there. It's kind of what it sounded like to me.
Yeah, that is correct. I think the only concern that I would bring to the commission is waiving the taxes is okay, but the fees have always been paid kind of by my research. NRS is that they're required to be paid. It's like taking money out of your left pocket and putting it in your right pocket, but it's still kind of what they require. Now, legal has wrote this up to be passed with waiving them as well, but I would caution us in doing so.
Yeah, and I did spoke with Juicy, or overheard a conversation with Juicy and our county manager, and she basically said that's how it's always been done. And she cited that basically per NRS that we are on the hook for the fees. So, and the fees are they're not a real extensive amount. They're like $4,000 or something like to that effect.
Correct.
My suggestion would be that we basically waive the fees, or not waive the fees, but pay the fees like we have done in the past, and move forward with it. So is there any comment on that, or anybody'd like to respond to that?
I think you would still want to waive the taxes, just not the.
Yeah, we're gonna waive the taxes, but pay the fees, sorry, yeah.
Okay, Kingston has indicated, that's why the letter's in there too, that they don't have the money budgeted for that. Would the commission, would they perhaps separately ask the commission for that money and then we have it be theirs? Or how would you suggest or want that to be done? Or do you want to just skip it and whenever they come up with the money, if they find some other way?
Commission have any response to that or idea?
No, unfortunately, no.
Have you had any conversation with anybody out of Kingstonburg?
No, my thoughts were to bring this back to the Kingston Town Board and see if they'd like us to re-agendize the 4,800 or something that was on there. For us to pay that, or how that town board would like to do it, so they didn't feel like we were stepping on their authority.
That sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so if there's no other questions on it from the commission, does the public have any comment on it? I will hear a motion.
So is our motion gonna
To
be
basically
to,
waive the taxes but pay the fees.
so I'll motion to approve resolution 2025-04, resolution for Lander County Board of Commissioners to accept the transfer of land for public purposes. We will, with the rewrite of waive the taxes but pay the fees. Do I have to put in their bill to take it back to the Kingston Board?
That would be my suggestion if that's what the board wants.
And then we present it to the Kingston Board for approval. The county treasurer has the fees on the delinquent tax roll for the following 4 lots as presented. That'll be good enough.
I think that
Okay.
works.
That sound good, guys, for a motion?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll go to 1.11 for discussion and possible action to disapprove the renewal of the site license agreement between Lander County, a political subdivision of the state of Nevada, herein referred to as licensor, and Rango Broadband, herein referred to as licensee. This agreement is for 3 years, is for a 3-year term with the following monthly fees and locations. 1, Lander County Courthouse and Administration, Battle Mountain, for $250. 2, Lander Sheriff's Substation, Austin, $50. 3, Lander County Water Tower, Battle Mountain, $250. So are there any questions on this item? Okay, my only question would be on the proposed agreement on line 21, confidentiality, where it says each party shall keep confidential all information in whatever form. So where we're a public entity, how can we keep things, is it proper to have a confidentiality clause in there? I mean, we are a public entity, there is no confidentiality, right? It's all public information.
I'm a little concerned about that. Perhaps we should either ask them to approve it without that, or there are some exceptions, not very many, maybe just adding a phrase, to the extent allowed by law, and that would.
Well, they have that in there. It's produced, prepared, observed, or received by the party to the extent that such information is confidential by law.
That's confident, yeah.
I mean, like, but in the capacity of what we're approving, their site license, I mean, what form of that would be, I don't know. If we don't, my idea would be just to completely leave it out of there, because I don't see how there would be any confidentiality that would strike up, you know? Because if we do leave it in there, then then basically, then the point could be argued, and I just don't know if we wanna necessarily argue the point of confidentiality when we're a public entity, you know?
I think that's fine. Either way, I think is fine, because as you point out, it's not the sort of thing where there's any real confidentiality. My guess is that it's in the agreement because that's the boilerplate
Yeah,
that their
that's-
lawyer used.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so, Commissioner, how do you guys feel about that?
Table it and represent it.
What's that?
Table it and represent it.
Do we wanna do that, or we could approve it with line 21 dropped, and then we'll have to come back if they're fine?
Yeah, if we can do that, that's just
we do
remove
that?
line 21.
That's fine. That's kind of my understanding of the motion, but yeah.
Okay. All right, so is there any other, does the public have any comment on it? Okay, so I will hear a motion.
Make a motion to approve the renewal of the site license agreement between Lander County, a political subdivision of the state of Nevada, hereinafter referred to as licensor, and Rango Broadband, hereinafter referred to as licensee. This agreement is for 3-year term with the following monthly fees as stated. On the Rango site license agreement with line item number 21, confidentiality, removed.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We'll move to 1.12 for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove a pilot project sponsored by NPHF Nevada Public Health Foundation that would establish service navigation assistance for public defense clients, otherwise known as holistic defense.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
For the record, my name is Tina Gerber-Wynn. I am a community outreach specialist for Nevada Public Health Foundation. Nevada Public Health Foundation is a nonprofit, private in Carson City that works to create solutions at a community level. A lot of things that we offer: event planning, community building, facilitation. And actually, an interesting thing, we do operate the public health preparedness conference that is next month, so it was a great event. One of the things I'd like to say is, for myself, I'm a social worker. I worked in the state for 35 years through the Department of Health and Human Services, and I retired and wanted to create a part-time job, so I was working at the Health Foundation. In March of last year, the Department of Indigent Defense Services approached Nevada Public Health Foundation to determine if it was possible to create service navigation within public defense. The department was created in 2017, the Department of Indigent Defense, in relation to a lawsuit that the state faced about having inaccurate public defense, or inadequate, within rural and frontier counties, 10 of them, including Lander. And so DIDS was created, and they have been providing infrastructure and education to the community and to public defense attorneys throughout the rural frontier areas. So my job was to really figure out if there was a possibility of adding service navigation into public defense, which would allow for people to have access to a social worker or a community health worker to create a service plan for people who were public defendants and work in collaboration with the public defenders. And so I chose Lander County after looking at several other counties and conferring with Bill Teal, who's also working for the Health Foundation, and I think working with the county on potentially offering medication for opiate use disorder to the jails, to the jail. And so he suggested Lander was ripe for potentially considering a pilot. And so what I did was apply for funds for a Fund for Resilient Nevada, which is opiate settlement dollars, and propose pilots in 3 rural counties, including this one, if you agree. The whole idea would be to work with a community-based provider about service navigation and social services. Essentially, the reality is there is one provider, that's Frontier Community Coalition, that's readily available to provide a community health worker who would work with the public defender and the other players within the justice system, including the judges and district attorney, to come up with ways to facilitate access to services for people who are in public defense, to help those people potentially create plans of
opportunity and compliance with treatment or access to care, employment, housing, et cetera, so that they no longer continue to be involved within the justice system and reoccurringly being arrested or needing public defense services. And there are studies that show it does improve outcomes for people, shortening jail times perhaps for the county to pay for or rearrest. And more importantly, or potentially equally, the person is successful in not creating harm within the community. So I did submit a work plan that I would suggest for whoever I work with. If you agree to a pilot, I also have the funding for the services related to that. I did speak to Kyle Swanson in the past, and he's in court today, so as the public defender, he wasn't available. And same with Deborah Amons, she's in court in Elko today. But I have conferred with those individuals about the need, and they're suggesting probably 20 people a month would benefit from having some kind of service navigation and access to care that would potentially reduce their involvement with the justice system. I do have a person who's willing and under contract to develop outcome data. The whole point would be to run this pilot for probably a year and a half and then come back when you were figuring out your public defense plan. That is also something that you have as a county to do every year, to consider whether you would add this as a service. But it wouldn't be something that we would discuss until probably February or so of 2027. So it really is, and I would keep statistics related to that and provide reports to the commission as needed or as requested, and work with community level people to create the structure of that care and to allow for individualized planning within the county with your desire and scope of work for this project.
Okay, thank you, Tina. So I have some concerns, and I'll tell you my stance on it, and then I'll give the commission your guys' opportunity to address Tina. Number one is I'm not in favor of becoming a pilot project for something that we don't know if necessarily works, and I don't just say that out of having no background. I'm going on serving this commission for 12 years, and I've seen attempt after attempt to come in and try to rehabilitate, to basically help resolve mental issues, and I've never seen a program that's ever succeeded. They've all been failures. It's a failed science, and that's basically what we're looking at here. I mean, I come from the thing that, the belief that the more you concentrate on the problem, the stronger the problem becomes, right? I've always been an advocate of physical health as mental health. I can't get behind it because I don't believe in it. I don't believe in the science, and I think it'd be a mistake to become a pilot project for something we can't guarantee that has any success. I mean, it'd be one thing if somebody else wanted to step up to be the pilot, they come back and then they provided a year and a half of data that showed, hey, this was a successful program. I'm betting that it's not, because I've seen so many over the 12 years that I've served this commission. And that's why I'm not in favor of it. So the commission, you guys like to respond?
I kind of agree with you, Brian. To me, I have to see the pilot project. I would like to see the data, the literature, what you're going to use. I believe in it a little different than Brian does. I've been in mental health. I've seen successful programs, but the holistic, I'm not really on board with. And I believe in psychiatry and stuff like that, but I would like to see what the basis, what it's using, rather than just say, here's the money and go try to start a program. I'm with you, Brian. I've seen a lot too, and a lot of people come through and we've had several in my first term come through and do it, and we haven't heard back from them since. So I'm not in support of being a pilot project either.
And clarification, I don't think it's costing us anything because it's grant money, correct?
That's correct.
That's what you're saying. They have to have our blessing to basically in our county to do the pilot program. So that's just so it's correct for the record. So, but thank you, Mike. Anybody else have anything they'd like to say about it?
Gina, so I'm looking here at the budget, and I'm seeing one health worker at $40 an hour and a supervisor at $50 an hour.
Correct. That was an estimate. I worked with Nye Communities Coalition they had more specific numbers, because when I wrote the grant, I wasn't sure. So I think their rough average for a community health worker is $37.90 with benefits, and somebody who has benefits and extra related to their salary. And then the same with the supervisor. I think their rate for a LCSW as a supervisor was $49 and some odd cents, including benefits and retirement.
And so when you're talking about a pilot, because I see the period of performance is March 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2025, is that correct? Or is that just for the scoping?
For the record, this is Tina, the reality was the grant ended, and it ends in 2025, and I do have a continuation grant that I'm submitting this coming week that covers the next two fiscal years.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun for Resilient Nevada, so they only fund in certain increments. So I think those were rough estimates. Do I think we'll use that many hours? I think it depends on the community need and how many referrals are received. And the expense of that is based on a community level funding stream for the client, for the staff they hire. So I can't really say if those numbers would hold. I think they'll be lower.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the commission? Okay.
I have one quick question to Commissioner Chop's point. Is there any sort of sustainability to this outside of grant funding, or is this only based on grants, and then once that is, it does fall back to a county funding source to sustain that?
Thank you for the question, and I'm calming down now. It's kind of nerve-wracking to talk to you all. The reality is through DIDS, you have a state public defense plan that you submit every year, and within that you estimate your costs for the county. And then the reality is, if there's more expense to the county than that, then the state through DIDS has a fund that pays for the overages or any kind of additional requirements for public defense. So you have a maximum payment limit for the county. Essentially, the sustainability plan for a project like this is that you would add the service navigation under the public defense plan, and then your liability would only be what your upper payment limit is, your maximum contribution for public defense. So you could add that underneath your current plan and not pay any more as a county if you wanted to add, if this was something you wanted to add to your defense plan.
Okay. Does the commission have any further questions?
I have one.
Okay.
What part is the FCC going to have in this? I'm part of the FCC, and the only thing I've heard on this is that you guys would be working out of their office. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct.
Okay.
So
Okay, that's what I thought.
the plan for me was, in coming to this community, there's not social workers. So the social workers you have, there's one at the hospital, and there's several in the school district. Otherwise, there aren't social workers to provide the service navigation. So the most naturally occurring provider is Frontier Community Coalition with their infrastructure, with trained community health workers who understand how to do the assessment or screening process, and then really to know the community level resources, understand how to access what's here in the community. So that was why I approached FCC. The idea would be then to see if they needed to hire somebody extra or to supplement some of the current activities they're already funded for and add some extra hours and time to a person who's already existing in their network of care. I don't know who that would be, honestly, but I do know that FCC is positioned to understand, as I am told, Lander County and the resources and some of the obstacles to getting into whatever recovery or services that a person might need.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission? Okay. Do you have anything else you'd like to add, Tina?
I just appreciate the feedback, and I understand the frustration with people coming in and saying they're going to do things and then leaving. And that was part of the reason why I really wanted to work with a community level organization that the county trusts.
All right. Thank you, Tina. All right, with that, I'm going to make a motion that we disapprove the pilot project sponsored by NPHF, Nevada Public Health Foundations, for the reasons that I stated. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm going to abstain because I'm part of the FCC, and she's mentioned us in there, so. Yay, nay?
I don't know that, I mean, I'd have to defer to legal, but I don't know that there's any benefit to you,
Okay.
and you kind of have an obligation to vote when there isn't, but I have to defer to legal on that.
Actually, I concur with that normally do have an obligation, but it's what you feel comfortable with in terms of sense of morality and so on, but
Okay.
do
I'll
keep
just
in
abstain.
mind.
Okay, so you have abstention. So do we have any ayes?
We have public comment?
Yeah. Well, technically I don't have to, but you can have your public comment. We already called for the vote.
That's all right.
Okay. Were there any ayes or nays on it? Okay. So we'll move on to 1.3. Thank you, Tina.
Thank you.
1.13 for discussion of possible action to approve, disapprove the renewal of the site license agreement between Lander County licensor and Sky Fiber Internet licensee for a license to use the water tower Battle Mountain, Nevada premises for a monthly rental fee of $250 for a 3-year term. So I have a question on this, on an attachment that we received. And basically, just for some background for the new commission, when we first looked at this, they had a proposal to put a camera up on top of the water tower, which the commission was unanimously against. Basically, just, kind of we felt it violated the privacy of our citizens because it would sit up there and have a huge scope of Lander County, so we voted against it. So my only question is, in one of those attachments, I seen that camera. So my question, are we back to trying to put a camera up there, or do we have a camera up there currently? Because if we have a camera up there, I'd like that disclosed right now because it was against the wishes of this commission. So can anybody answer those questions?
Do we have anybody online to speak to this?
So maybe we don't approve it until we can get those questions answered.
Yeah.
Because, and that's basically, I wouldn't have even clued in on it, except that one attachment had a picture of a camera.
Yes, and I think from our staff's perspective, just so you guys know, we pulled that from the old backup, and that may have been just part of their old presentation. And then when that was removed from it, but we need to verify that it was
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. Does anybody have any, Robert, do you know anything about it? And we don't have anybody from Sky Fiber online?
No, it was just a renewal, so I don't think they thought, but that was the backup that was actually recorded. So that was part of their recorded document, and I asked them if any of their equipment had changed. They said no, so that's why we just reattached it.
Yeah, so, well, my concern is, and like I said, now I question, did it get put up there? Is it not? And it's like, I don't personally want to move forward with the agreement unless I can for sure say that it's not up there.
I have the guy's email, I can email him and see
Yeah.
if he can get on.
Yeah.
And we can move forward until.
That'd be fine. Yes, Robert.
Robert Quick for the Sheriff's Office. So my understanding, based on the original agreement, when the commission said they absolutely didn't want that, there was a camera that was installed, and that, my understanding is they removed it at that time. And as far as I know, they haven't done anything back there, but I can't.
So you believe it was removed?
I believe so.
Okay. Well, maybe if we can get a call to Sky Fiber to verify that. So I think we're gonna go ahead and just table this one for the time being. And we'll move, actually, we can probably move forward with 1.14. So 1.14 for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the renewal of the site license agreement between Lander County licensor and Sky Fiber Internet licensee for a license to use the communications tower and or equipment shelter at Mount Lewis, Nevada. Does the commission have any questions on that?
No.
Okay. All right, I'll hear a motion on that one.
Motion to approve the renewal license agreement between Lander County licensor and Sky Fiber Internet licensee for a license to use the communications tower and or equipment shelter at Mount Lewis, Nevada.
Hey, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll go to 1.15 for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the interlocal contract between the state of Nevada by and through its community health nursing program and Lander County in the amount of $416.67 per month, not to exceed the total contract amount of $20,000. The contract is effective from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2029. Does the commission have any questions on this one?
This is the one we've questioned before, that the state And did we question the services on this one, or am I
I
mixing
think this-
myself up?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
this
we
is
did.
right.
We did question this before, and we had a request into the governor's office asking them for some removal, and then we haven't got any response back, so we're asking to continue on with the state. They do provide some services that we don't, so to continue providing them and without bringing anybody else on, we prefer to continue on with how we're sitting now.
Okay.
Okay, so if there's no question on that, I'll hear a motion.
Motion to approve the interlocal contract between the state of Nevada and through its community health nursing program and Lander County in the amount of $416.67 per month, not to exceed the total contract amount of $20,000. The contract is effective from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2029.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll go open 1.16 for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the bid award for the Lander County NDOT Jack and Board Project, PWP number LA-2025-236, the installation of a jack and board crossing beneath State Route 305 to accommodate new utility infrastructure. One, Z7 development in a base bid amount of $410,015. And two, Honeywell Construction in a base bid amount of $288,238.76, which is recommended for award. So, anybody have any questions on this one? I like seeing that Honeywell, man, they really, they treat us right. They come in with some really great bids, so I just like to state that. I appreciate that. I think they've done the community a great job. All right, so if nobody has any questions on this, I'll hear a motion.
Make a motion that we, so we're going to, the recommended for this award will be Honeywell, correct?
Yeah, so
Okay.
unless you feel otherwise or have any
No,
questions.
and Mr. Martinez, this is what we discussed the other day. I believe the boring project underneath with, and also, was there modifications yet? I know we had some discussions to the size of some of those.
Yeah, Aaron Martinez, county engineer for the record. So to answer your question directly, yes, it's, the line was originally oversized for future utilization of utilities. So we kind of wanted to go through this expense. We wanted to oversize the utility in order for future use. Well, that future use came a lot quicker than we thought with the fire station project and working with NV Energy in order to get the proper electrical infrastructure over there. It come to our attention that they needed a jack and board line. So working directly with the county manager's office, we were able to come to an agreement with some of their higher ups, and they're going to actually utilize some of our additional space in the jack and board line, and it's going to save Lander County a significant amount of additional money. So it's kind of go from just a single purpose line right now, which was connecting this complex to the new fire station, and is now going to be piggybacked with an NV Energy component as well, with a few additional lines still available if we'd like to pull any other cable.
Thank you.
All right. All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve the bid award for the Lander County NDOT Jack and Board Project, PWP NOLA-2025-236, the installation of jack and bore crossing beneath State Route 305 to accommodate new utility infrastructure awarded to Honeywell Construction in a base amount of $288,238.70.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay, we're gonna take a 10-minute break at this point and see if we can't get a response from Sky Fiber, so.
This conference is no longer.
Back to 1.13 for discussion possible action to approve, disapprove the renewal of the site license agreement between Lander County licensor and Sky Fiber Internet licensee for a license to use the water tower at Battle Mountain, Nevada premises for monthly rental fee of $250 for a 3-year term. And we have somebody with Sky Fiber on the phone with us.
Yes, Randy Chambers with Sky Fiber.
Hi. So I had a question, because in our backup on our materials, I seen there was a picture of a camera. So there's a little bit of confusion about there, so I have two questions, are we still, is this something that we're negotiating in this contract today? And the other question I'd like, do we currently have a camera up on that tower?
There is not currently a camera on that tower, as there was a problem with that originally, and it was removed. There's a mistake, that's an old attachment.
Okay.
From the proposal, but yes, there's no camera, nor will there ever be a camera.
Okay, good, and then we're not negotiating putting a camera back up there, that's just, that attachment should have never been part of it?
Exactly.
Okay, that clears it up for me, thank you.
No problem.
Does the commission have any questions for him? No. Okay, I will hear a motion.
I'll motion to approve the renewal license and site license agreement between Lander County licensor and Sky Fiber licensee for a license to use the water tower, Battle Mountain, Nevada, the premises for a monthly rental fee of $250. Brian, do you want me to state on the record that there will be no camera recovered?
Okay, so we have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion is second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll open 2.1 for discussion of possible action to approve, disapprove the Lander County tentative budgets for fiscal year 2025-2026 and the submission to the Department of Taxation. So now is the time, if there's anything that we'd like to see changed on the budget, this would be the time we'd want to present and state. So if there's any questions, anything that you'd like to see changed. Lakin, do you have anything?
No, Lake and Sullivan, for the record, I just wanted to let you know that we don't submit the final until May. So the second meeting in May, so if you guys have changes before then, we can always change it at that time too.
Okay, thank you, Lakin. Okay, so if there's no questions on it, I'll hear a motion.
Motion to approve the Lander County tentative budgets for fiscal year 2025, 2026, and the submission to the Department of Taxation.
Okay, we have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll move to 3.1, correspondence reports and future agenda items. So I'd just like to point out that part of the correspondence, there was some questions on getting, like, we get the public defender report, that's part of our correspondence, just go around so you can see like how many cases have been heard from January to March of this year so far, so. Okay, so anybody have anything on correspondence reports or future agenda items?
When's our update on the rail hub? Do we have a group coming? You
Yep,
said?
they will be here on the 8th. Our next meeting, they plan on being here and presenting to you guys.
Okay. We had any further communication with hydrogen or that? If they quit communication?
No communication.
None? Okay.
And Commissioner Helming, we are working on the Austin Historic Society, trying to get all the backup for how they presented that here in Battle Mountain, so we can bring the same thing back in front of the commission. We just didn't have the backup to put it on this agenda. Hopefully we'll have it on this upcoming agenda. I just didn't want you to feel like we forgot about it, because I know you did ask in the previous meeting.
Well, I asked them to wait till the next one because I wasn't going to be there in person.
Okay, that worked out good for us, so we're still gathering information, so.
Okay.
And when will we get, sorry to interrupt. Kind of an update from you on Sean, are we gonna wait till a year or what some of the projects he's worked on and stuff like that, just an
Yep,
update?
it's, I'm glad you asked, but we're coming up on his 1 year, so when his 1 year anniversary comes up, as mine is coming up as well, we'll be in front of you guys, and at that time, I would also like to, have this commission consider a contract for him. I know that, our previous public works director and myself were under contract. We didn't put Sean under one because we weren't sure how it was gonna work out, and we might, consider moving him back if it wasn't working. So I'm planning on presenting both of them to this commission. If anybody has anything to that, maybe shoot me an email or stop by and see.
Okay.
And I have one more thing.
Okay.
Update on, Prince's position. We advertised it, are we waiting or?
We have not. So I'm still currently running that, and I've asked the commission to stop by and speak to any of the employees at the Road and Bridge, Water and Sewer in both north and south, and kind of get a feel for what you think. It's been a tough position to find somebody that knows both Water and Sewer and Road and Bridge and combine them without creating a conflict.
Okay.
It seems to be working well, but feel free to stop by and talk to them guys. It makes me feel a little more productive in my life, so you guys get more bang for your buck out of me.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, is there any more on correspondence reports or future agenda items? Okay, we'll move into public comment for non-agenda items only. Is there public comment for non-agenda items only? Okay, I'll hear a
So,
motion.
real quick,
Yes,
off of that, I want to compliment you, Bert, for taking, like I said, it is additional responsibility. Projects seem to be developing, continuing on, so on and so forth. So thanks for the effort and, thanks for your additional free time, I guess.
Hey, you guys noticed today we had Lakin over here with chills because there was 3 different engineers sitting in the room with projects they're working on for you guys. So we are trying to move the pendulum a little bit for you. I think you guys are going to see some progress starting to kick.
Sweet.
awesome.
Yeah, and piggybacking off of that, I'd also like to say thank you, Mr. Martinez, Bert, and Sean about this item 1.16 that we passed for the Jack and Board project that we awarded to Honeywell. So, you know, that was kind of came into a strategy where we were almost in a position where we had to have 2 of them, right? One for NV Energy and one for our fiber optics, is that correct? So that strategy allowed us to go down to 1, and also, you know, I thought that was a great strategy, good, you know, discussions, bringing NV Energy in, and that's, to me, that's a huge win, and I don't know the amount of money we saved doing that, but I just want to say thank you for that.
Yeah, and I'm just adding this to correspondence, Bill, so we aren't getting into discussion. But I would like, you know, if the commission can take just a second and step back, them are the cost savings that some of these engineers are stepping forward and the county doesn't see directly in their bills. But, you know, Aaron reached out to NV Energy and made that, it's, you know, substantial cost savings to the county, upwards of, you know, $500,000 to $1 million. If we were gonna change all that and go through NV Energy's way of doing it as opposed to partnering. So these engineers are stepping up and doing good work for us.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll hear a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn?
Okay, second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.